Thank you, everyone. We do appreciate your patience. Still letting people in the room. We'll be getting started here in about 30 seconds. Looks like we're good to go. Welcome, Gerard. Welcome, Dr. Ali. Okay. We'll complete the poll. We appreciate all your responses. Looks like many of you have already heard of the Government Blockchain Association. And many of you already knew that blockchain was being used all over the world. So that's very good news. Martin, I'll turn it back over to you. We can kick off our call, our Performance Insights and Corporates Update call today, featuring Gerard Daché of the Government Blockchain Association.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's very exciting to be not only in this time, to be in a company that is really, really face forward. They're really working hard to make sure our users are informed as much as possible in the crypto space. There are a lot of myths out there that we want to dispel. People think that being in the crypto space is bad. They think it's all kind of stuff. But today we want to introduce you, Dr. Ali is going to introduce you to someone that is going to explain just how powerful the blockchain is. It is my honor and privilege to be here personally and to sit and learn from both of these individuals. Dr. Ali has done some amazing things with this software. And we're really about to see this software fire on all cylinders in the upcoming months as the market turns for the best. But behind that, there is a back infrastructure, the blockchain. And some people may or may not know truly what that means, what that is. And also, we're going to hear about the importance of governance in that space. And it is my honor to introduce to some, reintroduce to others, our Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Muhammad Ali, as he goes over some information and then he introduces our special guest for today. You want to get as many people as you can around the fire. Get them on the phone. They need to hear this information. Dr. Ali, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Martin, and thank you, Charles, for the introduction. So, greeting, family. This is Muhammad Ali here. I'm the CEO and founder of EAZYBOT. EAZYBOT, again, is a software that supports the blockchain indirectly because we're supporting trading of cryptocurrency that lives on the blockchain. Today, it's really my pleasure to introduce you to one of the very important people in the industry of the blockchain. In fact, he was recently recognized as in an article that's named by 5 people to know in the current crypto bull run. And he, in fact, was number 1 on this article for his achievement and his dedication into the blockchain. And Mr. Gerard is also the visionary and founder of the Government Blockchain Association, GBA. He is the executive director also of this organization. So join me to welcome Mr. Gerard. He's going to be really giving us some insights about the blockchain in general, not especially in crypto, but in general about the blockchain. As we know, blockchain is a technology. It's not just the crypto. It's a technology on its own, and it was created back, I think, 1991, if I'm not mistaken. And since then, it's just evolving, and it's basically changing our lives in terms of having now cryptocurrency and also making the internet more secure and many aspects. So, Mr. Gerard, if you are on the call, I'll leave the floor for you today. We don't have more details about the performance or insights. We'll keep the floor all for Mr. Gerard to give us more insights about the blockchain and about the GBA, the Government Blockchain Association. So Gerard, the floor all is yours.
Mohammed, thank you very much. Let's see. And you guys can hear me, correct?
Yes, sir. We sure can.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to share my screen if I have permission to do that. And also, okay, cool. We're recording. Let me share my screen. Share. All right. Do that. So listen, this is a very big subject. I'd like to thank you very much for inviting me to talk to your distinguished group. We had lots of conversations with folks at EasyBot. Charles, thank you so much for really being diligent in putting this relationship together. And so I'm so excited about what we're doing together. The topic is really big. So what I'll do is I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our organization, the Government Blockchain Association, and as we go through that, we'll sort of stumble across a lot of different topics, right? Everything from healthcare to logistics, land titling. So we'll cover a lot of ground. And then what I'd like to do is leave some time open for folks on the call to ask any questions about the GBA or what we're doing, or any aspect of blockchain, right? You guys might have ideas, and I'd like to learn a little bit about you guys in terms of are you guys investors? Are you building solutions? Do you want to know what to follow? So I'm going to cover a lot of ground, but I'm going to leave time open at the end, and I love dialoguing with people. So whether you raise your hand, put it in the chat. I'll let Charles and Mohammed define sort of the rules of engagement. But let me start off with just a little personal introduction. So my name is Gerard Deshay. I am the executive director, founder, janitor at the GBA, Government Blockchain Association. My background is I spent many years in both private industry and in the military. I got up to company commander in the Army infantry and in intelligence, and then worked for a lot of government contractors. What happened with me is my career sort of morphed into this place where I was traveling around the world evaluating defense contractors, government contractors on their technology to determine whether their technology was mature enough for large government contracts. And like I said, I spent some time in the U.S. military in infantry and intelligence, and I started getting contacted by people in China. And I said, would you come to China and evaluate Chinese technologies for the Chinese government? And I was like, you do know I'm a former United States intelligence professional. They said, yeah, we know that about you. We actually know quite a bit. And I said, well, that's comforting. But we have it on good account that you can't be bribed. And so one thing that's been very near and dear and important in my life, and I do think that God has tested me in many cases, prepared me for this, is I was put in positions where I would uncover fraud, I would uncover some things that shouldn't be the way they are, and have found that I've been put in a position where I'd have to make the decision about sort of doing the right thing or not, and doing the right thing cost me. And that, for whatever reason, I had that experience many times in my life. So when I was going to China, and I took about 20 trips there, and I said, listen, I don't want to look at anything top secret. I don't want to get involved in in anything that I shouldn't. Let's clearly set the rules. But I started uncovering a lot of corruption, and that corruption ran very deep, and it ran very broad. It ran globally. And when I confronted it, it basically pretty much cost me my entire career. And it was around that time that I had heard of this thing called Bitcoin, right? Some people that were close to me bought $2.87 worth of Bitcoin, and when they sold them, they paid for a car, a motorcycle, their college tuition, and their living expenses. And I said, hark, there's something here, right? So that's what my immediate interest was. But then as I started looking at the technology, I was like, this is a technology that institutionalized, it grounds in trust and integrity. And I'd been chasing that my whole life. So I said, look, I don't know anything about the technology, the people. Most of what was happening at that time was happening on Wall Street or in Silicon Valley. And I didn't know anybody in those places. My background was government. I said, one day government will be the largest consumer of this technology, right? But it's just not there yet. But and my background is in government, so if I plant the flag there, right, by the time we get it all figured out, we'll have sort of first mover advantage. And that's why we started the Government Blockchain Association. I didn't realize it would take as long as it did, and I didn't realize it would be as hard. But with the incoming U.S. administration, I think that time that we've been looking for definitely coming. And sometimes people have asked me before, well, why'd you call it the Government Blockchain Association? And I explained to them, I said, listen, blockchain is really about trusted transactions. And literally every industry has transactions. And name me one transaction in any industry that the government doesn't care about, right? if the government's going to, if you're going to get a haircut for your dog, the government's involved, right? The licensing, taxes, whatever. So, and everybody else was pursuing like global blockchain association and different things like that. But I figured if I carved out government, that would be a space, and that's what we're finding today. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to walk you through a little bit about the GBA. We're gonna, like I said, shine our light on different aspects of blockchain, and then I'd like to open the floor at the end for literally anything you want to know. So the first thing I want to tell you about the Government Blockchain Association is we are a 501c6 nonprofit, and our members, which means we're kind of like a business league, and our members are in the public and the private sector. And our goal is to help the public and private sector connect, communicate, and collaborate. So if you've got blockchain projects and want to sell to the government, the GBA really is where you want to be. Or if you've got a blockchain project and you want to sell to other companies that may have stuff with the government. We are global, so we've got GBA members that work in Albania, Argentina, right, Australia, Bangladesh, Belgium, Brazil, Brunei, Canada, Colombia. And one of the things that you'll notice as you go through this long list of countries, India, is that transactions occur at the state, local, national, and international level. So GBA has members in all those levels of government. And one of the things that we learned, if you want to implement blockchain, it's a lot easier to implement blockchain at a local level. You know, there's an old saying, it's a lot easier to turn a canoe than it is to turn an aircraft carrier. And we found that there have been a tremendous amount of opportunities working with blockchain advocates in local government. The other thing that's important to understand about this is while you'll hear public sentiments that a lot of governments are very hostile to cryptocurrency or blockchain, what we've done is we've put together thousands of people that work in government that are pro-blockchain, pro-cryptocurrency, pro-digital assets, and actually want to do something with it. So lots and lots of people. Now, we did start in the United States, so most of our members are in the U.S. I would say the largest percentage. So we probably have 30 to 40% U.S. members, and then the rest are distributed globally around the world. But as you can see, there's lots. Okay, so if you've got a lot of folks, and then we have about 4,500 roughly site users. We have about 10 to 11,000 people in our meetup group. I've got my LinkedIn following is about 30,000. In total, our management team's probably got about 150,000 or so. If you go to this site, gbaglobal.org, and you click on the all members, you'll see that I'm active now. I'm logged in. Ian was active 7 minutes ago. This guy was active 20 minutes ago, 53 minutes ago, an hour ago. What you'll find, it's a very, very engaged community. People are interacting all the time. You can search for people by different account statuses, domains, locations. In fact, the site is translatable into 30 different languages. So it's a very, very global, interconnected thing. I'll just click on my own profile just as an example. So when you click on somebody's profile, you get to find out about the groups that they're in, their contact information, just all kinds of stuff. So now I'm logged in, so I can see more. If you're not logged in, you can't see as much. But there's internal communications, there's messaging options. You can there's just all kinds of ways for people to connect, communicate, and collaborate. Now, if you've got that many people and you're trying to get people connected to work together, right, you got to get organized. So we organize around the topics of working groups. So I'm gonna make this big. I'm gonna look at all the pages. At least do this. Okay. So our working groups are divided into general categories, right? Science, healthcare, and tech working groups. So this is artificial intelligence, application architecture, aviation, cybersecurity, defense, energy, health and life sciences, infrastructure, R&D, space, quantum, right? Telecommunications. And so you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, what is blockchain? I mean, I understand that blockchain is with cryptocurrency, but the reality is, like I said before, every industry has transactions, and there are applications for literally blockchain and digital assets in every industry. We've got digital economy working groups, everything from accounting, acquisition management, asset management, banking, financial services. This you know, the internet had a huge impact on the world, right? There are certain innovations that have global impact, right? The fire, the wheel, right? The printing press, right? The computer, the internet, right? I believe so. The internet is about the peer-to-peer movement of information, very powerful. Blockchain is about the peer-to-peer transfer of value, and I think that this technology is going to impact the world in at least as much or potentially more than the internet did. And then now the convergence of blockchain and AI, right? Those and soon it'll be quantum. It's not really quantum yet, but the convergence of those technologies literally impacts every industry. Because the big thing about AI is how do you know you can trust it? And blockchain essentially is the other half to AI. Because yeah, you got a lot of new information, but how do you know it's right? How do you know it's accurate? So literally every area, governance, legal, regulatory, and what you'll see in each of these working groups, if you go into one of the working groups, I'm going to go to the one I think cryptocurrency. Charles, I think this is the one that you lead.
That's our favorite working group.
So when you go into a working group, what you'll see is that there's members of the group. There's Charles. Yeah, so there's members of the group. There's document repositories. There's calendars. There's events. There's all kinds of stuff. Again, the whole idea is to help people to connect, communicate, and collaborate. And speaking of events, if you come to our event page, you'll see that the GBA has these blue boxes here on the right. The GBA has events virtually every day of the week. So some of them are private, just to GBA members. Up here's some little event you might be interested in, right? The cryptocurrency trading strategies and tools. But this is a fascinating one, right? We're working with, I'll get to it a little later, some of the top people in the world about securing identities from AI and deep fake attacks. Grant Management Working Group. We're doing a lot of work getting people funding for different projects. We're working with international organizations. So, the GBA is kind of like a black hole, right? You may find yourself falling in and literally never coming out. But who are some of these people at these different events? Well, let me share with you just some of the folks that are part of this network. This is Dino Cataldo Delaccio right here. So Dino is he's a chief information officer at the United Nations Joint Staff Pension Fund. He built the first blockchain solution, and that's a $90 billion fund. So he's the CIO of a $90 billion fund. They built the first blockchain solution for the UN, which was an identity management solution. And he's also the digital transformation lead for the UN. So he has oversight over the World Food Program, the World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, UNICEF. All of those programs he essentially has influence over. He essentially coordinates the activities of the CIOs and CTOs of all this.
I like meetings with Dino. He's very humble and genuine, well spoken, but a very, very cool guy.
Yeah, and Dino speaks Italian, so that
makes sense.
Yeah, he's a personal advisor to very, very high level folks.
So you never know from his demeanor and we were in a meeting with him yesterday that he manages that type of fun, and he's so humble. So really well connected is the GBA. Very nice.
Well, and I'll tell you something. If you look at the people that are participating in the GBA, they're givers, right? They're very a lot of folks come in and they're takers. Yeah. And takers don't last a long time in the GBA, right? But folks that believe that the rising tide raises all ships, right? Something that I know about Mohammed is the reason why he did what he did was he saw that there was a need, right? He saw that there were problems out there, and he went out looking for a solution. And as a result, he and a number of other people become very successful.
Right.
Those are the characteristics and qualities of the people that I'm in the process of introducing you to. In fact, I would say people in GBA have three, maybe four qualities. Number one, they're out of the box thinkers. right? You'll find as you engage with people in GBA, they're not the 9 to 5ers that are going to sort of sit in a rut. These people are out of the box thinkers. Number two, they're willing to take a risk, right? Blockchain, cryptocurrency, digital assets, it's risky, right? There's a lot of things that haven't been figured out yet, right? The third one is they're interested in something bigger than themselves, right? And as I walk you through some of these, in this video we're going to come back to, when I walk you through some of these people, you're going to see those qualities. This guy was a digital transformation lead for the state of Colorado. The woman here in the white jacket, she put the first U.S. presidential election on a blockchain. The woman who's speaking here, she's the vice president of the Hyperledger Foundation. Dino, I already told you about. Carol House works at the National Security Council, directly for the president. This guy here, Brian Kavanaugh, is responsible for infrastructure security of the entire United States, right? And also the National Security Council. This guy, Kyle Howman, is a vice chair of the U.S. National Credit Union Administration. So every credit union in the country is under his regulatory authority. This guy here with the white hair, Jim Moran, former chair of the U.S. House Ways and Means Committee. He literally had to sign for the budget for every dollar the U.S. spent while he was in office.
Oh, wow.
Charles Hoskinson, right, co-founder,
Yeah.
founder of Cardano. And then Scott Sternetta. So, Charles, you just recently learned about Scott, right?
I did, yes.
You want to tell him who Scott is?
Yeah, so he's one of the individuals that we have to thank for the development of blockchain technology that led eventually to us being able to help people with automated crypto trading. So he's one of the key minds behind why blockchain even exists.
Yeah, so the story behind it is he was watching the world going digital, right, back in the early 1990s. And he recognized that you couldn't timestamp a digital record, right? You could create a digital record, but then anybody else could come in and edit it, and there wasn't any way to validate the authenticity of it. And he was plagued by the worry, what would it be like to live in a world where you couldn't trust your digital records? So he went to his research partner, Stuart Haber, there at MIT, no, not MIT, they're at Belcore Labs. And they said, hey, we got to work on this. And they tried and they tried and they tried and they couldn't figure it out. Because it'd be kind of like this. If Charles and I were going to have a transaction, right, well, we might need Mohammed to validate it. But Charles and Mohammed could conspire against me, right? And so we would need a third person. So we might need Martin. But Martin, Charles, and Mohammed could essentially collude against me. So then we would need a fourth person and a fifth person. And he was standing waiting for a table at Friendly's restaurant in New Jersey with his wife. And he was going over this in his head, like, this problem just can't be solved. He said it would be like the whole world is involved in the collusion. And then it hit him. When enough people are involved in the collusion, it's no longer collusion, it's consensus. And he came up with the concept of putting data into blocks, cryptographically connecting them to the next block, right? And then validating it through community witnessing. So they put the very first blockchain into production in 1991, and they put the New York Times in it, going all the way back to 1991. So you've heard the concept that New York Times is the paper of record?
Yes.
The New York Times is on an immutable ledger that goes back to 1991.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, I share this with you just to kind of give you an idea of some of the people that are involved in the GBA. And I do that because I want to tell you, remember those 50 different projects I told you about? Well, our working groups are all, we're very decentralized. And so each of them have their own project charter. Now we have our own, we have a PMO office that coordinates the activities between these different groups. So like if you're doing a project that might be a pharmaceutical supply chain, that might be a combination of the supply chain working group and the healthcare working group, right? Or if you're doing like voter registration, that might be the identity management working group and the voting working group. So we've got a PMO that coordinates the activities, that creates repositories, that creates calendar support, technology support. But each of the working groups function independently. And one of the working groups, which is the standards and certification working group, they identified a problem. And it's like I said, GBA members are out of the box thinkers. And they saw that blockchain companies and projects were having a hard time selling to governments and to industry because they weren't trusted, right? Folks in government said, "Oh, listen, I've heard of this Sam Bankman-Fried character. I've heard about FTX and Terra Luna and Celsius and what was this Mount Gox thing. And by the way, human trafficking, drugs, terrorist financing. Oh gosh, that's we can't touch that with a 10-foot pole." And I said to him, I was like, the problem is that in blockchain they don't have a box to check, right? In every industry they've got ISO 9000, right? ISO 27000. They've got they got the PMPs, but there's nothing like that in blockchain. So our standards working group, in fact, I'm going to, let me see, I'm going to stop sharing for a second, make sure that I'm sharing sound. Let's see, share sound, boom. All right. So they decided to come up with this thing called a blockchain maturity model, really to help blockchain projects be able to sell to government and institutional partners. So let me just play this for you real quick. Are you involved in the blockchain and Web3 space? If so, listen to this. There's this awesome thing called the blockchain maturity model that you need to know about. It's designed for individuals and organizations to evaluate blockchain solutions by leveraging their expertise in blockchain, Web3, and digital assets. As the interest in blockchain solutions is growing among governments, enterprises, investors, and donors, they're spending money on various blockchain projects. But there's a catch. Just like the internet bubble, many of these projects end up failing. So the challenge here is to find a reliable and trustworthy solution amid all of the overhyped vaporware that's out there. And that's where the BMM comes into play. It's a framework created by the GBA, a nonprofit organization with members in 500 government offices around the world. And the model is showcased by the UN Internet Governance Forum, Dynamic Coalition on Blockchain Assurance and Standardization, as a way to help assess blockchain solutions and achieve two very important goals. It provides a roadmap for solution developers to create and maintain trustworthy blockchain solutions. It gives confidence to potential customers, investors, and other stakeholders looking to invest in blockchain projects. The BMM is already being used by various public and private sector organizations in different industries. Now, here's the exciting part. The organizations implementing the BMM need experts to help them with the process. By joining the GBA, taking the training, and becoming an authorized BMM consultant or assessment team member, you can play a vital role in enhancing the trustworthiness of these solutions. This not only adds credibility to their projects, but it also gives you a chance to earn credentials and income. If you'd like to learn more, shoot an email to bmm@gbaglobal.org or check out the links in the description below. So what we did is we came up with this model, and we basically looked at every blockchain solution that we could over a couple of years. And we identified the characteristics that differentiated a successful blockchain project from one that failed. And we came up with 11 characteristics. We call them elements, right? Distribution, governance, identity management, infrastructure sustainability, interoperability, et cetera. And in each of these elements, we came up with 5 levels of maturity. Is the solution mature enough for research and development or investment funding? Is it mature enough to be a prototype? Is it mature enough to go into production? Is it mature enough to be rolled out at an enterprise level? Is it mature enough to be rolled out at a global or public level? And the model is technology agnostic, and it's industry agnostic. So it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Bitcoin, Hyperledger, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana.
Right.
IOTA, it doesn't matter. And then we made it so that it was industry agnostic. But here's what we found out. Every industry has unique requirements. So we built a suite of documents to support the assessment requirements, et cetera. What we realized is when we looked at the different industries, if you're building a blockchain solution and doing identity management in banking financial services, you got to do AML KYC, right? Anti-money laundering, know your customer. But if you're doing it in elections and voting, you have to have permanent separability between the voter and the vote. In other words, anonymity is a legal requirement, right? Very different from banking. If you're doing it in healthcare, let's say for clinical trials, you have to have traceability between the patient and the data, but you're not allowed to know who the patient is. So every one of these industries, right, we realized needs a unique set of requirements. And remember those 50 working groups I showed you?
Mhm.
Actually, they have about 200, but I showed you about 50, right? They started developing their own set of supplements to the blockchain maturity model. And so the way these things work is if you're building a blockchain solution in banking financial services, as an example, right, you have to satisfy the 11 elements first, but then you can come down here and take a look at the different financial use cases, right? So you might be doing private banking, community banking, micro lending, micropayments, credit cards, right? Over the counter derivatives, right? Whatever. And then based on that, you come across the top and it identifies the component requirements that must be in place for that solution to be trusted. And the reason why I showed you the folks on the YouTube video is I wanted you to get a sense of the quality of people that were involved in putting this thing together,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So this model, this set of models, right, that have been developed over the past several years. And by the way, Dino Dino is is one of the authors of the blockchain maturity model.
For identity management. Yeah, I saw that. And
Well, no, not just identity management. He's one of the the authors of the BMM and the identity management supplement. In fact,
nice.
he volunteers with GBA about 5 days a week. Then what happened was we started training people around the world to start performing these consulting, doing this consulting and assessments. Because what we're trying to do as an association is, besides bringing opportunities for individuals, right, to learn about blockchain, to develop the skills, to develop the capabilities so that they can earn money, right? We're also trying to help companies prove themselves to industries and to government that they can sell their blockchain products and services, right? So we train these folks around the world to do assessments, and then we actually, in fact, um, um, uh, there's so much to get to. I can't get to everything. There's just so much.
You gotta prioritize it.
It's already 40 minutes after the hour. Then what we started doing is we started actually performing assessments. So one of the recent one we did was the Oracle blockchain platform, right? So here's metadata around that one. We've done CES Networks, which is a decentralized platform, right? So when somebody there's so many blockchain projects that overhype, right? They basically they promise a moon they can't deliver, right?
And they under deliver, right?
It is vaporware. Unfortunately, it's such a scam, but it's killing the industry, right? And so what we're saying is, look, let's create a standard that has been globally recognized as an industry standard. Let's perform objective evaluations. And our thing is not to say who's the fastest, who's the cheapest, who's whatever. Ours is, can you trust what they're claiming? So if somebody's building a land titling solution for a county that's going to do 100 transactions a month, property sales, versus somebody else that's doing one in fintech that has to do high frequency trading, right? They can both be good for their particular use case.
Right.
And the BMM is, hey, for the claims that they're making, can you trust them, right? And so what happened was, so we started building this all out, and then the United Nations completely separately, right? When Dino had built his identity management solution, he went to his 195 member countries and he said, we want to go ahead and implement this for this $90 billion fund. And they said, has it been independently evaluated? And he said, no. They said, you can't implement this until it's had an independent evaluation. So the first folks he went to was the ISO, right? International Standards Organization.
Yep.
Well, they didn't have anything. They were still working on a glossary. He then went to IEEE. He went to a NOTBA, went to a number of places. Nobody had anything until he came to the GBA. And when he got to the GBA and he saw what we had done, and he went back to the UN said, we have this group called the United Nations Internet Governance Forum. They meet every year in a different country. This is Google, it's ICANN, it's MIT.
Microsoft. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's all those folks. And they have a group that meets every year to talk about governing the internet. And they have subgroups for just about every topic, right? Digital health, financial inclusion, et cetera. But they didn't have anything for Web3. So they asked the Government Blockchain Association if we would host the Dynamic Coalition on Blockchain Assurance and Standardization as a way to bring global confidence that blockchains could be trusted. And if you look at this page, you'll see that the BMM is the cornerstone for this UN effort, right? And that now when we perform assessments, right, we can essentially list them on this page. And when we get a few more done, we're going to create a United Nations directory of trusted blockchain solutions in a way to separate the good, legitimate, serious solutions from all the vaporware and scam.
Right.
So at a super high level, that's who the GBA is, what we do. Again, we're an industry association to create opportunities for our members. And more importantly, we're trying to have an impact on the industry by separating the folks that you can trust from the ones that you can't trust. So I'll leave it there. Charles, I'll turn it back over to you. We can do
absolutely. And so I got to start it off with questions. And then ladies and gents who are on the call today, feel free to raise your hands so that you can ask questions of Gerard. But I'll start it off with, so I know we're in the midst of expanding the BMM with different supplements and more industries. Where does EAZYBOT fit in? Can you tell the EAZYBOT subscribers that may be on the call and those interested in EAZYBOT, where does EAZYBOT fit in, specifically related to helping you develop a supplement, since we're not actually a blockchain solution? We just support blockchains.
So one of the things that's become very apparent to us is there are services in the blockchain space, right, that are different from solutions. And some of these things have the same problems that solutions have, right? And I'll just give you an example. There are a lot of people, they've had their money stolen through some kind of a scam, right? Then they're contacted by fraud resolution specialists. It says, hey, listen, we help people recover their stolen money, right? And then those fraud resolution specialists steal the money, right? Because the fraud resolution specialists are actually the people that stole it in the first place, right? And and then you've got law firms, right? You've got people that accounting firms, right? You've got some folks that I think are good intention, but they don't know what they're doing. So the services industry has a whole suite of problems. And so Charles and I are discussing right now creating a services, a group of services supplement to help people that are in the blockchain services space. So that's in process. Yeah, Derek.
I'm sorry. Let me unmute. Someone has a question.
Oh, I'll let you handle the questions since you've got the unmute power.
No problem. Derek Johnson, come on in with your questions.
How you doing? Thanks a lot for your information. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
One of the questions I have, I've been in this space since 2009. I appreciate this because I think what I'm getting is that you just touched on the scams that's been in this space for a long time, and I think that scared a lot of people in the public when you say blockchain. Well, if you say blockchain, many people don't know it's associated with cryptocurrency, by the way. But it's sort of like the Better Business Bureau that you can kind of go to the Better Business Bureau if you open up a business. And if a business has that tag, you kind of can believe that it's legit, you know. So
well, you can believe that there are not complaints logged with the Better Business Bureau. But in traditional businesses, right, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Because let's face it, if you got a restaurant, right, and you get ratings and stuff like that, you can't pick up that restaurant and disappear, right? I mean,
right.
But in our space, people can stand up a company in literally seconds. They can scam people and they can disappear.
Oh, absolutely. I've been a part of many of them. So I mean, I've been a part of not that I created them, but I've been a part of many of them. You know,
I was getting a little worried. I was like,
I mean, some of the biggest ones in the world. I like it because what you're saying to me, what I'm getting, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the GBA. I can see the programs come to the GBA. Like if somebody comes to me on the outside and they say they have this in a blockchain, I can kind of check the GBA and see if it's kind of legit per se or not. Right? Is that what you're kind of saying to me?
Yeah. So where we want to get to, and we've only done a handful of assessments, but we want to get to is if somebody's credible, they would come to us and say, "Hey, listen, we would like you to check us out." Right? because
Right.
it costs time and money to do this, right? I'll walk you just briefly through the process. The process involves putting together a team of, well, first of all, there's a lead assessor and there's a team. So they've got to go through first and go through a self-assessment matrix, right? So the BMM requirement says this, what do you, how do you handle that? It says this, how do you handle that? So they've got to do that first to close their own holes. Because we've had so many organizations come to us say, hey, we think we're level 5. And we built level 1 intentionally to be easy so that these companies could have a toehold, right? And also recognizing the industry is immature. We've been shocked at how many people can't even get to level 1, right? I'll tell you a story too if I got some time here in a minute. So that's the first step. Then the second step is they put their documentation together, they submit it to us, and we have a team of 4 people that go through it. And the team has to include somebody that's a blockchain technology subject matter expert, somebody who's a legal compliance subject matter expert, somebody who's a digital asset subject matter expert, and somebody who's a domain subject matter expert. And we look at that. It takes about a week to do an assessment, and we look at that solution from every different perspective. We just completed one where very mature organization, they already had lawyers look at their system, but because the lawyers didn't ask all of the detailed questions, the lawyers didn't uncover the fact that if they did what they were planning to do the following week, they'd be in violation of securities law and potentially could be in a lot of trouble, right? So the BMM assessment is it's a very thorough and in-depth review of a solution. And then the bottom line is we're just validating their claims. So if they say they can do stuff, we're just validating that they can do it. Or if they say that they can perform at a certain level, we want to validate what are the assumptions. In some cases, they'll say stuff like, we can perform at this level, but they get there by essentially doing it in a test environment where they only have 3 nodes. They turn off all the security features. They essentially take out all of the resistance that's not real world, but yet they're broadcasting to the world that they can do things that in the real world they just can't.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, smart contract audits is another example. A lot of people say, well, you can trust us because we had a smart contract audit. But some of those smart contract auditors say, yeah, send us a check and we'll send you your audit results. Well, wait a minute, don't you want to look at our code? No, that's okay. It is so, I just hate to break it to you, it is so scammy. So yeah, we have to look at all of that.
Yeah, I mean, you just took a lot. You just eased a lot of pain with me because now I feel like I can move forward. I mean, believe it or not, it was a holdup because I've been in this space since 2009. I've made millions in this space. I've had people going to jail in this space because when they started to regulate this space, of course you know what I'm talking about. The space is getting regulated now, so you're like a godsend for those who understand this industry. And what you're saying to me now, what I'm getting now, because EazyBot, you guys are in not connected like I assume, but now EazyBot to me can say that they're legit, right? Where people would say, well, I don't know, it could be a scam, right? And me, I'm not going to talk about what's a scam and what's not a scam in this space, right? You have to do your due diligence. I just want to say, Gerard, I'm definitely going to, I know who you guys are. I'm definitely going to go when I'm going to become a member. I love what you're doing. I love it. I mean, for those that don't understand what you're doing, I would say go find out because I know exactly what you're doing. Definitely. And I appreciate you.
And let me jump in here. I want to make it clear though. And Gerard, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to make this clear. So when someone actually goes through a BMM assessment, it's not necessarily that the GBA is endorsing that product or service, but we're providing that assurance that the solution can actually be trusted because we can validate that it works. So it's not an endorsement per se from the GBA. We're just saying the solution works. And so what EazyBot, I'm speaking from the EazyBot side of the house now, what EazyBot's working to do with our relationship with the GBA, we're looking to help them advance the adoption of blockchain technology and also develop something that solution providers like EazyBot can go through, an assessment that we can go through that says, okay, EazyBot can also be trusted to provide the service that they're providing. That solution has not yet been made by the GBA. We're working on it with Gerard and team, okay? And if you are looking at joining the GBA, special discount by going through EasyBot. Now I'll put my calendar in the chat for everyone who may be interested, but it's a great idea to join the GBA because they're offering a vast array of services, but also credibility, viability for anyone who's operating in this space. And there's that educational component as well. So we can talk about this. I can drop this in the chat for our current EasyBot subscribers and for anyone looking at the GBA itself. But does that help, Gerard? I did also want to share this. Martin, if you get an opportunity, just come talk about your experience here. And Gerard, we need to know who was at this event. I think someone from the NSF was here. But go ahead if you want to touch on that.
Also, Space Force was there. We had one of our speakers is a guy at the National Science Foundation that gives out all of the grants for blockchain.
Yes, this event was my first event with the GBA, and let me tell you, it was mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. I didn't realize
you didn't realize. I knew it.
that blockchain can be applied to farming. I didn't realize that blockchain could be applied to the Space Force. So it just opened up my mind just how powerful the blockchain really is. And a lot of people they don't understand just the power of it. And the credibility that was the individuals that were in the room was amazing, was absolutely amazing. And I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Derek Johnson stated, that this adds another level of credibility to EazyBot because we are now not only a member, but will be an accredited member of the GBA coming soon. So I hope people understand the power of this. I do know that Mr. Derek does. But once this really resonates in your soul and you understand, you can march forward with confidence. You know how like when you go to the playground and that guy, you're ready to beat up somebody, but you know that your big brother's behind you so you can talk all the kind of stuff? It's almost that way. I can move forward with confidence knowing that the GBA has my back when it comes to credibility.
Well, we're working to get there, right? So you made a good point. We haven't gone through an assessment yet, right? But what we are doing, and this tells you a little bit about the heart of the EasyBot people. What they're saying is, hey, we want to work with you to define the standards, to have those standards peer reviewed amongst a global community, right? Because we're not trying to tip the scales, but we're not the only ones in this industry. We want the ones that are legitimate in this industry to be able to be separated from the ones that essentially are just trying to take your money. And it'll probably it might take us a year to get there. But knowing that the folks at EasyBot, that's in their heart, gives you great confidence that these are the kind of people that you want to work with. Not that they're perfect and not that there will never be problems. There always are. But you know that at least you're working with people that are doing everything they can to do the right thing. That's I think the best you can hope for today.
Perfect. I love that sentiment. And ladies and gents, what other questions do we have for Mr. Dache today related to the Government Blockchain Association? We do have his LinkedIn in the chat, and we also have the link for the Government Blockchain Association in the chat. You should also see links related to the current promotion between EasyBot and GBA, as well as a calendar if anyone needs to discuss. Cynthia says, I love the blockchain. Well, we love it too, Cynthia. Thank you. We love it too. Any other questions for Gerard?
I will share one other opportunity that we're working on. So two things. In India, right, their national economic development strategy is to help incubate Indian software companies so that they can sell their software services globally. So in India, they have the Ministry of Technology. Right underneath that, they have this group called the Software Technology Park of India. And they have 60 development centers around the country. And again, their mission is to incubate software startups so that they can then export those services and bring revenue into the country. The head of the STPI's blockchain group came to me and he said, hey, tell me about this BMM. And I did. And he said, I want the Indian government to pay for BMM assessments of Indian companies because I want India to be known as a leader in blockchain, right? So that's one of the projects that we're working on now. And then also another one is in Bahrain, the king's brother or cousin, I forgot which, is the ambassador to the Americas. So that's Canada, United States, Mexico, and South America, Central South America. And his chief of staff, the guy that runs the embassy and his personal affairs, is a close friend of mine. And so he came to us and he said, look, this oil thing's going to be gone at a certain point. So Bahrain really wants to focus on health tech and fintech. So can the GBA work with us to establish those capabilities in our country? So we're now in the process of defining a program for the country of Bahrain. So we didn't really focus on the U.S. because the U.S. has been so lagging, right? In fact, if anything,
Right.
Right. Well, Jiminy Crickets, that changed yesterday, right? So one of the things that I want to do is go talk to Health and Human Services, because when RFK was running as an independent, he made a promise that if he won the election, that he would put the U.S. national budget on a blockchain. Well, he basically won HHS. So we want to go back to him and say, can we put the HHS budget on a blockchain? Right. So there's so many different projects and things that we're going after that is just really exciting. The world's going to change in a big way over the next few years.
And now I don't need to wonder why your calendar is always booked. Understand. And so you guys just came back from, well, I know you may not have been able to attend personally, but you guys were represented in Saudi Arabia. What was that about?
So like we said earlier, the GBA and I co-host the United Nations Internet Governance Forum blockchain group. And so we were invited to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the annual meeting, and we ran the blockchain program there. So
yeah. So I'll drop links in the chat. We had I want to say a small section in the virtual booth area. Many of you may have seen Dr. Ali's video related to the Sustainable Development Goals coming out of the UN. So that was featured at the Saudi Arabia event where GBA was. So pretty exciting stuff. This is just the scope of this, Gerard, always impresses me. It's so much bigger than what we can ever talk about. So we're very impressive, and we appreciate all your time, energy, and effort on today's call. Last opportunity for anyone on the call today to ask Gerard a question. Do we have any hands raised? One moment. I think I see a hand.
Yeah, Martin.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Martin.
I just want to ask, that live event that you had in DC, I haven't looked at the schedule, but do you have more forecast for 2025, not only in the DC area, but nationally, so that other individuals, whether they're in the DC area or anywhere, can attend a live event so they can feel the energy that I felt as well?
Your question is very timely. So the decision that we made at the tail end of 2024 was that we were probably going to pause live events just for 2025. We typically do a future of money governance law in the spring and blockchain and infrastructure in the fall. But we're going back and reevaluating that. So we potentially may do an event in May. If we do an event in May, we're potentially looking at doing it at a very high profile, high prestige venue in DC. Awesome. So yeah, I'm not I've been sworn to secrecy, but we're looking at it, right?
Please let us know. I would love to have an EAZYBOT table there.
Okay. Well, and you know, honestly, that would be called the future of money governance law, potentially. All right. Well, so let's stay in touch. We'll stay in touch with Charles. Absolutely. If we do something, you definitely guys will be first to know. So, but I got to run. I actually am a minute late for another call. You guys have a bodacious rest of your day, and thank Charles. Thank you again, Mohammed. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share what we're doing, and just really excited about our relationship.
Absolutely, not a problem at all. We appreciate your presence. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on the next calls. I know we got a full schedule of calls, so See you soon, sir.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So you heard it from Executive Director of the Government Blockchain Association and founder, Gerard Daché. They are doing a lot to advance blockchain globally. And more importantly, they're providing a set of standards by which companies can operate under that lets the consumer, the average consumer, understand and know that the solution they're picking or looking at can be trusted. So we are on the cusp of being able to create a standard for services like ours that don't directly have a blockchain solution, but we provide a service to a blockchain solution. And so once we create that standard, we'll go through the assessment ourselves and we'll have opportunity to be listed on that United Nations website as a trusted solution provider. So very exciting times for EasyBot and the blockchain space in general. And we are looking forward to all the work that we get to do with the Government Blockchain Association. You guys individually are welcome to become members of the GBA. They have a lot to offer, not just the high profile, high power individuals, but also the educational components. EasyBot, if you were to join the GBA through EasyBot, you do get a discount on their membership. All right, so I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Thomas. And again, we appreciate everyone who was able to attend today's call related to introducing the Government Blockchain Association and the partnership that we have, EasyBot has, with the GBA. Thanks so much.